What?
Eric's picture.
Oh, he got it up there before me. Hold on. Are we live already?
Yeah, I can't say much tonight, ladies and gentlemen, except welcome to the sports arena on a Monday night. Your man Eric Wilson's in the building, and I ain't really got much to say. This is probably the second time ever in the history of doing this show that I am not dressed to impress. As you can see, I do not look my best, and clearly, this is how I feel right now. Because for not 1 but 2 weeks, I have had to sit here and deal with the fact that my team is not winning games. But let me go ahead and get my co-host in here, my man, the sports reporter without pay, who I owe a debt of gratitude to for holding down the show last week because I was just in my feelings. And Ray, I'm more in my feelings this week than I was last week.
I'm about to say, I doubt you any less in your feelings today than you was last week. You know what I'm saying? But hey, we're gonna make it do what it do.
But I'm here because, as I always say, I ain't a hard man to find. John Shear is a little under the weather as his Miami Dolphins. I don't know what they trying to do or what they are or not doing, but let me get the man who is currently number 1, and it pains me to say this, but the Dallas Cowboys are the number 2 seed actually in the NFC. But Mike Caratanudo, hello, good evening, and congratulations.
Man, well, thank you. You know, I'm not, like I said, I'm happy to get a victory. I'm happy to split with you again. I did say on my show this morning, I was giving you a shout out that at least we got both matchups this year because you even alluded to it last year. I give you that. But with Dak and Jalen going head to head with each other in a full 2 games. And yeah, I mean, I didn't overreact when you won and you were all happy playing your fight song and stuff. And I was all for it because you won and I'm not even giving you crap, but like, I'm not going to overreact with 1 game. The Cowboys got to 10 wins. The only thing I will say is everybody's overreaction now all of a sudden today. Oh, well, they beat a good team. And you know how I feel about, yeah, there are teams that are different talent levels. I get that. I never concede that, Eric, but They got a good win against Philly at home. They won 15 straight at home. So I mean, it's not a bad thing. But the schedule for them, for the Cowboys, gets interesting, and it's interesting for the Eagles too. Just remember, that John always makes you mad. I know you're feeling in your feelings now, but John always makes you mad. So Christmas Eve, I think Santa needs to be jolly and happy. And you're my brother. Ray knows that. Ray is too. I'm just saying you don't need to be, just be with Santa, don't just be with Santa.
You know what, Mike? We are 13 days from Christmas Eve. And John is not here, but as you know, I've been pondering and saying, you know what, Mike? I'm going to do it. It's on record. We are live. I'm telling you right now, on Christmas Eve, I am picking the Dallas Cowboys to beat the Miami Dolphins. So everybody who wants to be up in my comments talking about this man is stubborn and he'll never learn and that, I don't want to hear nothing more. I have made it official. I have said it once. I will not say it again. So if you missed it, too bad, so sad. But Ray is witness to it. I will make that pick.
And before we get crazy, I just want to say, like, I get they're at different spots of their career, but you're right. With Lane, that matchup yesterday, between Lane Johnson and Micah Parsons. I mean, for most of the game, like, dude, that was gladiatorish and epic to watch. No matter if you like either team, hate both teams, like that was epic to watch. And the same thing with what's his name, the kid from Georgia and Tyler Smith. Like those are just some young guy, like epic freaking.
Either Davis or Carter. But Ray, let me talk to you as the not necessarily the odd man out, but as someone who is not a part of the Eagle Cowboy rivalry. Give me your thoughts on what you saw last night, besides it being an ass whooping.
Well, first off, we just dropped a little overlay. We're gonna talk some, Eagles Cowboys. Before I get to what I saw last night, can I talk about what I'm seeing tonight? Michael Cartenuto. Sir, I'm disgusted with you. I'm absolutely disgusted with you. This man done came on this show for 12, 13 weeks in a row. For 2-3 years in a row. And this man done disrespected your team over and over. He treats your team like Stephen A. treats your team. He can't wait to get on here and talk about when they lose. This man picked every team against your team, despite the fact that y'all went, what y'all go, 13-3 last year, or 12-4, or whatever y'all did.
12-5. 12-5.
Y'all were great last year. I think y'all won 14 the year before. Like, you guys have been amazing, right? And every year, this dude picks against y'all. Y'all could be playing the Oklahoma City Thunderbolts. That's what y'all could be playing. And Eric is going to pick them against your team. And he got on here. And he talked crazy, right? With the gauntlet of games that Philly had coming up. They had Kansas City, Buffalo. Was that what it was? Buffalo, Kansas City,
San Francisco, and Dallas twice in 5 weeks. Yes.
Right. Again, going into that, like as an analyst, you go, man, if they can come out of that 2-2 or 3-1, like good on them. But forget all that. Your team, Mike, he beat San Francisco. He beat Buffalo, and he beat Kansas City, thanks to a drop pass, right? But your team, the division rivals, the guys he been talking crazy about, the guy that every week he just said, you know what? I don't win the sports. I don't want to win the Sports Arena football pool because I'm going to pick against the Dallas Cowboys because I hate them that much. Mike Cartenuto, you're my brother. Love you. Been doing this for 18 years, but to hell with your team. That's how I talk to you, Mike. And you got on here acting humble like your team lost. Like you came on here like the flute poster playing in the background and you. No, it's not. It's not. That's what we talking about tonight, Michael Kent. Bro, you supposed to be letting him have it because I promise you, if it was the other way around, Eric wasn't going to come on here humble, Mike. He wasn't going to come on here humble. Oh, no. He was going to come on here like Stephen A. Oh, they had accident waiting to happen. I told you it was going to happen. And you came on here so friendly and, oh, man, Eric, well, I'm excited we got to win. You talk like a boxer after a fight, Mike. We both came in the fight. We played hard. Y'all stumped him. That's what happened, Mike.
Yeah, but
y'all put y'all foot.
But he knows the facts. He knows the facts.
No, you tell him. Don't get on here being humble.
All right,
Mike, just answer this for me, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Had they won, do you think he'd have came and been as humble as you just was?
Oh, man, we would have had to hear the song. It would have played back to back. And then the show. No, it would have heard the song and then the show opening and then the song again and then the song again. And then I would have been on screen with the Michael Jordan crying memes because we got swept by Philly. I know this. Look, I since we're starting off talking about the game, that's fine. I thought we were easing into it. I mean, it was nice to see that they couldn't even get an offensive touchdown. The one mistake of the game that Dak made, it was you should have got rid of the ball, and then he couldn't even protect it, and it was a hell of a return there. But look, the defense, they cleaned up the running game. DeMarcus Lawrence is fired up. Micah Parsons gave Lane Johnson a bloody nose on the illegal hands to the face call. But yeah, look, the way the team played, causing fumbles against Devontae Smith, that secondary, and I was going to get to this too, but you fast forwarded my track, Ray. So, when Trayvon Diggs was healthy, you're right, Ray. It was really unfair. Now that Dan Quinn and Al Harris have developed Deron Bland. I mean, what they have in the secondary, it's not just, oh, can the guys up front get there? They're not just, oh, how is the back end holding up? Because you touched on that last year, and again, to a very fair point. But even early in the season, like, this defense has just grown every game, and the fact they didn't give up an offensive touchdown to Philly, I mean, it was a stomping, but inevitably in the grand scheme of it, it's one game. If they turn around and if they turn around and lose next week, Ray, everybody's gonna say, see, they got up for Philly. That's it. They lose this weekend, and everybody's gonna be back on. I'm not, because I see what the defense is doing, and I know you do as well with some of the stuff you put out there. But look, there's no need for him. Like, it's already painful for him enough to be here, knowing that they can't win in Texas. So, I mean, it's a great thing. And yeah, right now we're the number 2 seed.
So what I'm gathering is 2 weeks in a row. Where's John Shear when you need him? Because last week, like, Philly didn't just lose. They got dog stumped by San Francisco. And they went out last night and they got dog stumped by Dallas. And the big guard don't show up and say nothing. Megan ain't here tonight. You ain't got nothing to say. Y'all just gonna let Eric off scot-free with y'all teams not just beating his team, dog walking his team.
It's not scot-free. He saw the beatdown.
Mike, I'm disgusted with you right now. Listen, man. I had popcorn sitting here ready. I was waiting on the fireworks, and Mike said, "I'll be humble." No. Eric, okay, let's talk football. I was hoping Mike was gonna give this seriously. This isn't a who knew I knew, but we've been saying about 8 weeks now. What's we in week 13, 14, right? First 5-6 weeks of the season, we were all saying, what's wrong with Philly, right? And it was, well, they're winning. And I recall around that time frame, I was saying, man, they're winning games like this. Whenever they actually put it together and hit their stride, the rest of the league can stand by. Because if you can't beat them when they're playing like this, you're definitely not going to beat them at their best. But it's like something's not there, Eric. Like, seriously, something is off. Something is not right with Philly, right? You look at a team like Buffalo. You look at a team like Dallas. Y'all know I love the plus minus, right? Do you know this year for the season, Philly's 10-3, and their plus minus is the same as the New Orleans Saints?
I did look that up, yes. Only because I looked it up, I knew you were going to get to it.
You know, they're 7 games over 500, but their plus minus is like 23 points, which means they're winning games on average by about 1 possession, right? 3 or 4 points if you count the 3 losses, right? And 2 of their losses were beatdowns. And you look and you go, the 4 hard games they had, they beat Buffalo in overtime. Kansas City dropped a pass to lose the game, and they got stomped by San Francisco and Dallas. And you go, what's wrong with Philly, right? Like, what's really wrong? There weren't any major, like, losses, right? Everything in the offseason was positive. You pick up DeAndre Swift, who I think is a hell of an upgrade from Miles Sanders. You don't lose anybody on the defensive side of the ball. The offensive line is intact. Like, what's wrong? I don't know if the rest of the league has figured them out, right? And it's tough to sit here and say this about a team that's 10-3, and if they win out, they're still going to be a number 1 or 2 seed, right? Like, they have the one up on you guys, Mike.
Right. No, I know.
With the tiebreakers, it goes like record, then it's head-to-head, then it's division.
No, but inevitably if they both went out, you know what killed Ray? The loss here,
lost
right?
To Arizona.
Right back to the Cardinals, yeah.
They lost to Arizona, yeah. And it's because it's in conference, right? Because they have a loss to the Jets that's just as bad. But on the tiebreaker list, division conference record is 4th. Because if you guys both went out, head-to-head is 1-1. Division record, both would be 5-1. Overall record would be the same. You get to conference record, which they have a game up on you guys. They only got 2 losses in conference. But it's like, I guess when you set the bar that high for yourself, right, which Philly has done, and then you come out and play like they played this year, it's like, I guess you can be happy with the fact they're 10-3.
Hell no, I'm not happy. Hell no, I'm not happy. No,
So,
no.
here's the
No.
thing,
What you ain't gonna do
no,
is sit here and say, "Well,
real
Mom,
quick.
I am not happy."
No,
I'm
talking in a general sense, right? As a fan base, right? Because 3 weeks ago you
As
were.
a fan base, we ain't happy.
But 3 weeks ago you were, right? Like 3 weeks ago,
That was 3 weeks ago.
That's what I'm saying. 3 weeks ago it was, hey, y'all can say what y'all want to say, but we still winning games, right? Even when you lost the first game, who'd y'all lose your first game? The Jets, right?
The Jets.
And everybody went, what? It's like, hey, we still got the best record in the NFL. Then you have a close one with Buffalo and Kansas City. You go, hey, y'all can say what y'all want to say. We 10-1. But these last 2 weeks got y'all feeling some kind of way.
Yes.
With good reason.
Yes.
Good reason.
Listen, I said it last week. San Francisco is the most complete team in the NFL. Okay. But what did Dallas decide to do to me, not to any other Eagle fan out there, to me last night? They said, no, Eric, hold our beer. Watch what we do to your team. And now I got to sit here tonight and listen to Charles Willis Sr. and Walt, our dude from Arizona, who we met at Media Week, and Loso Bradley and everybody up in here. You know what? I'm going to take all of it.
Hold on, real quick, because I want y'all to know, them my guys in the comments. He's a Philly fan. My guy Charles Willis, that's my guy, a musician. Shout out to my guy Charles. Like, he's a Philly fan. He's saying, hey, they just beat the brakes off my dogs. He's accepting the L. My guy Loso, he a Dallas fan. He tuned in because he see Mike with that hat and that shirt, and he want Mike to talk his stuff to Eric. Since Mike won't do it, I will. Eric, you've been all year picking against the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, you've been talking crazy about them. They didn't just go out and beat y'all, man. Dakota Prescott was out there looking like the best. Like, I'll talk about this in the MVP conversation. We can cancel that. We can't say they ain't played nobody unless we think Philly is nobody. They beat the hell out of y'all, Eric. They beat Pitts down y'all leg, man. They went out there and just put a stomping on y'all, unlike any of us expected. And listen, man, it's almost like you click off the channel and click back and go, wait, what I missed? What happened? What is going on here? Oh, my God. And the only thing I can think the whole time I was watching this game was like, I know somewhere in Florida right now, this is happening. I know it is. I know somewhere in Florida, that man is shedding real life tears because this has happened 2 weeks in a row. We talking about the cream of the crop. Look, my Lions, I can admit that we're probably at best the fourth best team in the NFC. I think San Francisco, Dallas, and Philly are a tier above us. I don't think we've reached that echelon yet. Games like yesterday and Chicago proved that, right? We just lost to an inferior team. Philly fans thought they were superior to Dallas, but they didn't just lose to Dallas. Dallas beat snot out y'all nose. They had y'all out there looking like Roscoe, like, what happened, Gina? It was, listen, Mike, it was one of the most amazing things I've seen. And listen, I don't have a horse in the race. I'm a Lions fan, right? I didn't care who won the game. We done lost already. So whoever win or lose, we still behind in the standings, right? But for what we saw with our own eyes and ears, like what we saw, what we heard, unbelievable. Eric was sitting at home just eating. Oh, he was sitting at home just to eating. I know Philly fans everywhere. Fly, Eagle. Oh, no. It was bad. It was real bad. Eric was shedding. Oh, it was bad. As a matter of fact,
I'm surprised you didn't pull up the Nick Sirianni picture that said "Cry Eagles Cry."
What we want to do right now for Eric, for my guy Charles Willis in the comments, for Philadelphia Eagles fans everywhere, for Joel Embiid if he's watching, for 76ers fans, for anything associated with Philadelphia. Charles Barkley is rolling over in his grave right now. Brian Dawkins is rolling over in his.
See,
it's just really it's bad. No, just let it ride. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring it. Musicians, hey, musicians, bring it down. Thank you, musicians. Ladies and gentlemen, Heavenly Father, we come before you right now. We just want to say a word of prayer for Philadelphia Eagles fans everywhere. They're heartbroken on today. They're heartbroken. They are battered and they are bruised, Lord, and they are torn and they are scorned. We ask you, Jesus, right now to lift them up. We ask you to lift up Philadelphia Eagles fans everywhere, Lord. The unthinkable happened, Lord. They went into yesterday. They went in there proud. They went in there with their chests out, Lord, and they were humbled. Dakota Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys went in there and took their souls. And we ask that you give them back to them right now, Lord. What we saw yesterday, it wasn't David and Goliath. It was just Goliath stomping on poor little David is what happened. He pulled out his little slingshot and it did not work, Lord. We ask that you bless Philadelphia Eagles fans, Lord. They need you right now. They are calling on you, Lord, to heal their broken hearts. We ask that you mend their wounds. We ask that you give them comfort in this time of bereavement because their team died yesterday, Lord. So right now, in the name of Jesus, we are praying for Philadelphia Eagles fans everywhere, and we close that with an amen. That's what we're going to do.
Amen.
Amen. We listen. Y'all need it, man. Y'all need it.
I swear to God, he passed the collection plate around. I'm pulling something out of it.
Listen, man. It was rough, man. I listen. Listen, man. I will. Okay, so let's talk some football for real. What does Philly do from here, right?
Figure it out. But no, I don't understand how Brian Johnson and Sean Desai and Nick Sirianni have not, over the last week and some change, made corrections. Okay, yes, you signed Leonard to help clog up the middle. Well, that didn't work. And only after Reed Blankenship went down, who, as according to Seth Joyner, was the only guy that was tackling, which, Seth, that's a whole other conversation for another time, but that's an Eagles conversation. We ain't there with you yet. It's very simple. AJ, we knew he was going to get his. And Devontae, even though he fumbled the ball, there was just too many rookie mistakes that were being made last night there in Texas. Okay? You would think after Micah Parsons pushed the chin strap of Lane Johnson up into his nose and caused him to see red, that it would have changed the intensity of the game. But what it did was it just catapulted Dallas to that next level to say, we going to draw first blood. So what we going to do is we going to keep pressing the gas. And somehow along the way, Philly just wasn't Philly. Okay? When you expect to see a dog fight and you get, we were called the underdogs in our championship run. We had the mass and we did it all. And what happened? We didn't show up. Running the ball only worked so well. Why Jalen and Jason Kelce were the two guys who were running the ball last night, because Jason was protected and Jalen was running. DeAndre, I don't know. I'm trying to understand why we're not utilizing DeAndre Swift more. I really don't, because we do have, in my opinion, a three-headed Hydra in Swift, Scott, and Gainwell. But yet our run game is non-existent unless it's Jalen Hurts running. I don't need my quarterback to run right now. What I saw in Dak rain Dakota Prescott last night, shout out to the Queen of Hoops, her future baby daddy. What I saw from him last night was what we were seeing prior to his injury. Because Dak was going out there saying, okay, CD, you my guy. I'm going to get you. Tony Pollard, I need you to do this. And that offensive line with Taylor Smith, Tyron Smith, whoever, the whole gamut of offensive linemen were basically like, our front is better than your defense. And y'all know I will praise Hassan Reddick and Brandon Graham and Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. And I will praise those guys as short as long, because Mike knows better than anybody. I'm a defensive guy. But when your middle is open, you have your one-on-one matchups in the corners and safeties. And even though Dallas Goedert was back, the utilization of our players, when you are, I won't say household names, but damn near close to it, and you don't capitalize on a situation knowing what was at stake. I don't place blame just on one. I place it on everybody. See, I'm not going to say, oh, well, Nick didn't coach right, or Brian Johnson or Sean Desai didn't do what they were supposed to do. No, across the entire gamut, the Philadelphia Eagles did not show up last night against the Dallas Cowboys. Hence the reason Dallas is now the number 2 seed and Philly is number 5. You can throw whatever you want to throw at me as far as who didn't do what, but I'm telling you, it's a 53-man plus roster and all the coaches who did not do one simple thing: beat the Cowboys.
Well, I mean, it's not simple to beat the Cowboys the way they're playing and at home. I do like the comment you put up, CD greater than AJ. Look, AJ had a heck of a game. They rotated. Gilmore was on him, played a hell of a game on him. But yet he still came down right with 9 catches for just under 100 yards. Hassan Reddick, to Eric's point, did have 2 more sacks. I think he's up to like 12 and a half already this year, and he had 16 last year. But I will say, to me, the exclamation point was the Micah Parsons sack when he literally drove Lane Johnson and then your left guard back into and split to get to Jalen Hurts and brought him down. Like, that was just the exclamation point for that defense. And the Eagles did have to come into the game running the ball more. Like Eric said, and I've defended them all. See people like, oh, Hurts isn't the same just because he wasn't throwing 40 times a game. And they've talked about him being banged up. But he's still played. They've done enough, like you said, up until San Francisco. Okay, the Jets game, the Jets defense to prove that they can hang with anybody. And then my mom sent me a text that she said we gave up on the Jets a week too early with a bunch of laughing faces because we all
they just stomped Houston.
30 points.
I hope CJ Stroud is okay. But getting back to your point,
but no, it's if they run the ball, and that's one thing Dallas had to adjust to. And and you talked about it a few weeks ago, Eric, when Leighton Vander Esch went out and he hasn't, and he's not going to be back this season. That's kind of the linebacker part in the middle. That's why they were, both Philly and Dallas going after the same linebacker. But look, what they can do in the secondary and what the defensive line is doing. A guy, and I love him, and all kidding aside, because when they drafted him out of UCLA, I got to see him play a lot. Odigizua, like what he's doing up front. And I know Collinsworth said last night, he's got 1.5 sacks. He goes, he's not in on pass rushing downs because of the depth they have at pass rusher. And which is true. But how the middle of that line is actually playing better. Do they need to be a little bit more beefed up? Absolutely, in the middle. And we'll see as you get towards the playoffs if that happens, because like you said, with the Niners, 2 plays into the game, they have a touchdown. The first play, McCaffrey goes freaking 72 yards down to the 2. But that defense, look, it's been there. It's been growing. The offense can grow into itself. Hell, and Philly, Ray, I will give a little crap to Eric, tease him a little bit, because Philly may have lit a big fire. Michael Gallup got in the end zone last night. And if that speedster starts getting in the end zone with CeeDee Lamb, with Ferguson, with Pollard, and Dowdle showing the toughness on the goal line. Look, I try to taper because everybody always says, "Oh, Cowboys fans, you talk out one in so long, blah blah blah." Great, I hear it all, but I will say this: you play that physical, and to Eric's point too, because Collinsworth does. He always talks about it which is noted to be talked about. Dak Prescott with Tyron Smith at left tackle, all the numbers that we always talk about, Ray, I'll keep it short. They skyrocket upwards when Tyron Smith is at left tackle. When he's not, that's when you come back down to earth. And that's how dominant Tyron Smith has been for a long time. And yesterday against Philly, there wasn't much pressure coming off the left side on Dak's blind side. So am I excited? Yes. Do I want to rub it in Eric more? Of course, but he just said he's going to pick him on Christmas Eve. I got my Christmas wish.
I would just like to say, first off, Mike, pause. I'd like to rub it in Eric more. Pause. Let me ask you this, Mike, because I can't ask Eric because he's still a little emotional over the last 2 weeks. But with what you've seen from Philly, I'm not asking you as a Cowboys fan, do they scare you? Not after yesterday. But it's hard to say a team 10-3 needs to right the ship. But can they right the ship, right? After what we've seen what we've really seen all year, even, you look early in the season, I think they beat New England by 5, right? Like New England played them really close, and then Washington played them close twice, right? They beat Washington in overtime. Then another game came down to the last possession.
Hey,
Like
man, we don't need to be hearing my schedule. We don't need to be hearing my schedule.
Listen, I'm just saying, like all 10 and 3s aren't created equal, right? And
you want that on the list. Look, we won by 5, we won by 6, we won by 14, we won by 3, we won by 9, we lost by 6, we won by 14, we won by 7, we won by 5, we won by 4, we won by 3, we lost by 23, and we lost by 20. That's what it's been.
I understand that it's not so much as just how much you won by, it's how much you won by and who those games were against, right? Like you expect a team like
Washington's a divisional opponent, Ray. I'm sick and tired of people saying, oh, Washington took them to overtime, and they're a divisional opponent. If you don't understand that, then you don't understand football. Divisional opponents see you twice a year, okay? They learn your scheme. They focus on who your team is. You, better than anybody, should know about that, considering what happened to you yesterday and your Detroit Lions.
First off, my Detroit Lions didn't come into the season as the NFC favorites and the reigning NFC champ.
No, I'm
simply saying, right? New England, right?
Week 1. Okay, you know what? Let me pull a John Shear for you right now. It was week 1. It was in the rain, so the weather played a factor, and that's why the score was 26-21.
Okay, Eric, let's just fast forward to the last 2 weeks. Y'all got y'all ass beat by San Francisco.
We did. Ain't no question about it. At home against a fully 100% functional team with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and Brock Purdy. Yes, they had that game circled on their calendar from last year. Why? Because we took out Brock Purdy and they had no championship.
You don't think y'all should have had that game circled?
Of course we had that game circled. We knew what was going to happen. We knew they was going to try and come into our house with mud on their boots and put their feet up on my couch. I knew that. But we didn't execute. And then last night, going into hostile territory against a divisional opponent, I could go down the number of games between Dallas and Philadelphia. They showed them all last night. But you talk about the body bag game. You talk about the game where Jason Witten lost his helmet and still ran for 35 yards. You talk about 44-6. You talk about all the Dallas-Philly games that existed. This is just one more. The only difference is this time it went to the Cowboys. So you're right. I got to sit here and I got to listen and I got to take all of it. But what I'm not going to do is I am not going to sit here tonight in the sports arena and just let everybody think that they can just say whatever they want to and there ain't going to be some type of repercussion, okay? So Dallas fans, get it out your system. Walt, Loso, Mike, Ruth, Frank, Holly, I'll run the gamut. Y'all want to sit here and talk? Do it. Get it out your system. But please understand one simple thing. Come hell or high water, barring injury and barring any craziness that happens in the NFL, which we know it can do, there will be a rubber match. I don't care if it's in Dallas. I don't care if it's in Philly. There will be a third matchup between these two teams. And you best believe, barring any unforeseen instances, and I pray on everything. You want to pray? Let me pray real quick since you want to be Pastor Land. Hold on. See, my granddaddy was a pastor. So let Pastor Wilson in the building for a minute. Lord, I humbly come before you today as a servant, and I ask you one simple thing. There are no excuses. Now we get one of the best NFC divisional round matchup playoff, and we have no matter who the victor. Because right now, I got to sit here and say that Dallas is a great team. But make no mistake about it, Lord, and I beg of you humbly, and I ask you of this. When that matchup comes, I need everybody to understand, no matter whether it is in Lincoln Financial or it is in Arlington, Texas, the winner of that matchup is going to be the better team for this year and moving forward. That is what I ask of you, Lord, as we sit here tonight on the Sports Arena every Monday night at 10 p.m. with my co-host, a sports reporter without pay, and my Dallas Cowboy brother of 18 years. He's a Sun Devil, Jerry. Forks up, pitchfork lunch, my man, Michael Caratanudo. I need you, Lord, to please make sure that everybody who plays that day is at their best so that we can finally put this bad boy to rest. In Jesus' name. Amen.
The show is at this point. Can you get it back? Can you get it back, Eric?
All right, I'll answer your question though. I'll answer your question though, because fairly, and as we're like, look, they seem to be struggling in the secondary. I know Eric's talking about Blankenship going down too, but even against the Niners, like struggling in the secondary at points against. And yes, to Eric's point, I'm not disagreeing about the division game, but against teams like Washington that see them twice a year, that know them.
Hey, Mike,
what?
I told you about this humble stuff you doing.
I'm not humble. You want me to answer the question?
Y'all beat Washington 45-10.
Right.
Don't let him sit here and talk about because they division rivals is so tough.
You asked me to answer it. You asked me to answer.
I didn't ask you to answer none of that stuff he was talking about. I've been wanting you to let him have it since we came on the air. Only because I know he would do it to you. That's right. All I'm saying, Mike.
Okay. So you want me to let him have it, or you want me to answer the question like you asked about what the Eagles need to do?
That man picked against the Cowboys every week this
year.
Hey, man, listen.
I give him crap every week about him not wanting to win the thing and lose, and that's fine. But okay. I'll let him have it after I answer your question because you asked that before he jumped in, which is fine.
I did.
What they need to do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
About Philly, about what they need to do. And look, to me, it's not much. Like Eric said, if you run the ball with Swift, when Swift kind of had that bust out game against Tampa that night, he had 100.
No, against Minnesota, week 2.
Minnesota. All right, yeah, Minnesota. But like ever since then, mixing up the running game. Like when it's third and short, and Ray, we've all said it. But you said it a million times. Like they do the brotherly shove, and it's over. Like you're not stopping them. But all I know is if I don't get what the problem is with the secondary, but it has been a problem the last 2 weeks. Now, is it against teams that – and look, Niners at receiver, I'll say obviously a teeny bit more steady in depth. We haven't gotten – Michael Gallup, like I said, got in the end zone yesterday. He hasn't been the same. But, yes, CeeDee Lamb has been destroying it. And he went through the secondary the first time in Philly and went through the secondary yesterday. But if you're the Eagles, if you don't shore up that secondary, because that pass rush, we know they can get there. The Cowboys, offensive line-wise, to yesterday's game, had the answer. But last year, how are they so successful? Right? Hassan Reddick, yes, blew up. That whole defensive line was just absolutely punishing people. So you were going to try and run the ball to at least hold them off. But any team that tried play action, minus the Niners when Purdy got hurt, we all saw the NFC Championship game. But if you can't create the pressure, and even I'm not even saying it has to be the same level because that was an insane amount last year. They were what? They were like 20, 22, 25 sacks ahead of the next nearest team last year, right, Ray? It was a huge gap. And the Eagles and people can say, like, when Trayvon Diggs, okay, Cowboys, Eagles, when Trayvon Diggs had all those picks, you were like, oh, well, he gets burnt every other play. No, it's not actually every other play because before he got injured, when they were showing his stats, coverage-wise, top 2 or 3, and in most instances, top the last 3 years. So
okay, see, I'm sorry to interrupt you, and I know I shouldn't be interrupting you, but Loso got a lot of nerve with that one. He got a lot of nerve with that one right there. I'm sorry, I just had to get that one. My bad.
Well, yeah, but if you're, they don't have to get. I'm not saying get sacks, but Ray, we've talked about it. Get quarterbacks off the spot. The Eagles, unfortunately, all season long last year, the Cowboys, sack-wise, started to catch up towards the end of the season last year. But if you're not getting that, those guys can still cover. Those guys were covering. It's not like they were getting sacks, as we know, like I'm saying, every play. But the coverage is different. Teams are making adjustments, and they're not adjusting. But, like I said in the beginning of the season, if they get back to running the ball, because like you said, John Shear's saying, oh, he's not the same. I don't need a quarterback to throw 50 times. If they're running the ball down your throat, they're running the ball down your throat. So that's where they're at. But if they don't somehow, to Eric's point, defensively get on the same page in the secondary, like Eric said, he wants a rematch. I'll take a rematch because if CD's going to be able to go all over the secondary and Michael Gallup's going to get in the end zone, then I'm all for it. So they need to fix the secondary to answer your question on that. Now to let Eric have it. All right, look, Micah Parsons is an absolute stud. I love defense too. Deron Bland had again, going back and forth. And against Stephon Gilmore, what his leadership means to this team in the locker room, especially after Diggs went down. And Ray's best message to me is like, man, what you guys are doing in the secondary is unfair. And that was right when Trayvon Diggs went down. It was that week that he's like, it's just unfair what the Cowboys are doing. And to what Al Harris has done, hats off to Al Harris, was a phenomenal player. And as a coach, he's just got this secondary doing what Dan Quinn wants it to do. And look, Deron Bland had to step up. And that's the one thing Dan Quinn did in Seattle too. If any of the Legion of Boom was injured, I know I can't name a lot of the backups, but when they were in there, guess what? they weren't getting scorched either. So, I mean, as of right now, I know Eric's in his feelings, but we do have the better defensive coordinator. And after these last 2 games, Micah Parsons just puts more and more of the case of being the best defensive player on the planet. But I can send you a Penn State Micah Parsons jersey with a Cowboys star if you like.
Listen, so we've talked Eagles, Cowboys for about 40 minutes, and I kind of knew that's what it was going to be. But we're going to take a quick break, and then on the flip side of this, we're going to talk some more NFL and some takeaways from this past week. Y'all hang out, stay with us. We should go to break with the flutes playing for Eric. We're going to give it a rest. Y'all check out my boy over here, Mr. Tyree himself. Say what, say what.
It don't even matter what it is.
7 on you, and it should have had 10.
Man, Bob, you can't drop 10 on me, so that's not matter.
I just hold on. Now hit a nigga, right? Before we played, I was
You was foul, man. You fouled me twice.
yeah. Welcome back. Season 3. Say it again. Say it again.
Yo, shout out to Tyree and the crew, Mr. Career over himself, Avery. We got Chuck, we got James, and man, Tyree something everywhere. Me and him working on another project together. Y'all be on the lookout for that. And listen, man, I gotta shout out my guy Matt. Guy I work with, did a little gift exchange at work. Y'all can't even see it, right? But he got me a custom hat made. I don't know if y'all can see it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, nice.
My guy came through, you know what I'm saying, on the little work Christmas gift exchange. He was like, I got you, Brody. So shout out to him, man. I was like, that will make an appearance on camera tonight. So let's talk some more NFL, man. I don't know. It's so many takeaways from this week. Starting with the fact that backup quarterbacks, particularly in the AFC North, are winning games. Joe Flacco was somewhere on a boat. Now he's playing football and winning games. Jake Browning is winning games. There's not a starting healthy quarterback to be seen in the AFC South anymore. We don't know if Stroud is okay. Trevor Lawrence isn't healthy. I think Tennessee's on their second, third string, whoever, and Richardson is out, right? So that whole division is playing with backups. So I guess I'll pose this question. We saw in Minnesota's on their second, third. They benched Dobbs again, right? I'll start with you, Mike. What team that's playing with a backup right now has a real legit chance to possibly make some noise?
I mean, it's not an overreaction from yesterday because I love the Colts defense, Ray, but Cincinnati with Jake Browning. I mean, I thought it was actually cool how they showed his matchup with Gardner Minshew they had back at Washington State, little Apple Cup there. But no, I think the way what you have on offense, and if you give the ball to Joe Mixon and the play action and with those receivers, I mean, yes, we know Jamar Chase is all world, but you have T. Higgins, you have Tyler Boyd. You can give the ball to Mixon, which opens up the play action. The offensive line blocking a little bit better for them. So, I mean, that's kind of my skeptical part. The defense, look, I mean, they know that they have a backup quarterback in there, and we all know defenses step up. So, I mean, I'd definitely have to say Cincinnati, just because as long as they make plays, and if the defense can create at least one turnover a half, which yes, I know a lot easier said than done, but even if they create an extra turnover game, get that offense an extra possession, it'll pay off for them. And I definitely, after yesterday's overtime win, I know it's extending the answer to the question, but I don't think they catch Baltimore. But if they're able to get into the playoffs, you don't want to see them.
Talk to me, Eric.
I'm gonna stay in the AFC North and say Cleveland. Cleveland. Let's look at it right now. Cleveland's schedule for the rest of this season. They play the Bears next. Then they got the Texans, Mama Carrots and Noodle. Then they got the Jets, and they finish up at Cincinnati with the Bengals. Realizing that without Deshaun Watson under center, the Cleveland Browns right now could finish their season 12-5. Could finish their season 12-5. And would be the number, I mean, depending on how it all plays out, But Joe Flacco, as you alluded to, Ray, brother was done, got the phone call, and said, I'm going to go play for a couple of weeks. Let's see how this thing goes. The man's playing with house money. Oh, and mind you, you talked about defensive guys. Granted, yes, Micah Parsons is in the conversation. Don't forget about Myles Garrett. Because Myles Garrett will run through anybody to sack a quarterback. Okay? So to me, right now, it is by far Cleveland.
And Joe Flacco went back to the practice squad today. But he says he has no interest in signing with any other team. He's going to stay in Cleveland.
Yeah, I don't even understand that. If Joe Flacco is the guy under center, I would go with Cleveland as well, just because I believe in what they do on the defensive side of the ball. And they don't need their quarterback to go out and win games for them. They need him not lose games. But then Joe Flacco did just that yesterday, right? He went out and won the game, right? He absolutely balled. And we've seen him in a similar type situation in Baltimore where you got a strong run game, you got a stout defense, and your job is to just go out and make plays when you have to. And Flacco's not some super duper, arm talent guy. He's not like the highly touted quarterback. But like when he needed to, Flacco has made plays, right? And he looked good, man. So if I don't know what the deal is with him going back to the practice squad, I don't know if Watson's supposed to be healthy now. I don't know what the deal is. But if Flacco is the guy that's the backup, that's the team that I see with a backup that, really has a shot, man. Losses yesterday, man. My Lions lost to the Bears. Again, we talked about Philly and their second loss. Miami's in a dogfight right now with Tennessee. So talk to me, Eric. What team did we think was a contender 3 weeks ago? And maybe your mind has changed on a little bit.
Oh, that's a tough one right now because, I want to say, even though it was an overtime loss, I want to say the Rams. I feel like the Rams are they've been such a roller coaster for me this year. And right now, sitting at 6-7, depending on what happens between Green Bay and the Giants tonight, I mean, they are tied with Tampa, but let's face facts. They ain't catching San Francisco. So they got to find some wiggle room to get in. But then again, you also got Seattle. But as far as teams that I was hoping would still get in, and they still do have a viable opportunity to get in, I just don't know if the Rams are going to get in. And I would not be surprised if they don't. But then I have to start asking the question, how much longer are we going to have your quarterback, Matt Stafford, around? How much longer are we going to have Cooper Kupp in? What if he has to work with a brand new quarterback? Listen, Puka Nacua he's a rookie. He's going to be there. But I really feel like Aaron Donald, on the defensive side of the ball, how much longer is he going to be there? So if the Rams get in this year, I think this might be possibly the last ride for them. And let's see how far it goes.
Talk to me, man. Something disappointing from this weekend, man. A team that really let you down a bit this week, Mike.
I mean, I know Herbert got banged up, but I mean, to me, it's the Chargers now. I'm to that point where I get Mike Williams isn't there, but Keenan Allen is, and we've talked about it. Like, and now Herbert gets banged up. But I mean, against the Broncos team, again, division opponent or not, like to me, it's absolutely frustrating. And it almost goes to I mean, in a way, what John was saying, at some point, like when you're saying, yes, they have this talent, but okay, if somebody gets hurt here, they're missing somebody here. Like, is it coaching? Is it constantly Brandon Staley? You know, even though the offense, of course, what are they going to say? No, we don't want to go for it on fourth down. But the way he's coaching, if they're definitely not responding, and you get to a point where it's to me, it's just frustrating watching a team with a guy like Austin Eckler, who can be like this generation. I'm not saying that he's the same person, but literally what you use LaDainian Tomlinson to do, right? Like you can do that with Austin Eckler, and you have that basketball team of receivers. Like okay, fine, Mike Williams is out, but Keenan Allen leading the way. I mean, Farnham, you see these guys, and it's just yes, the other team is scheming, but it's so freaking frustrating because I just don't get it. And it goes to your question, you know, at some point, like, you know, when I said Herbert, you know, from his first season, how he grew and then the plays he can make and it's growing, but it's like they're not making them. And I don't think, I mean, look, Kellen Moore came over, supposed to fix the offense. So look, I just don't think they're responding to Brandon Staley. But to me, it's frustrating because our Broncos that we left for dead, of course, rightfully so, right after that 70-point debacle against the freaking Dolphins, they're now what, 7-6? I mean, it's insane that, and they're in the heat, they're in the mix of the playoff race. So the Chargers are going the opposite way of the Broncos. And yes, do I like the Broncos defense? Do I think offensively that the Broncos have talent? Yeah, I mean, Javonte Williams just got into the end zone for the first time since last season. I know he's been banged up, but yeah, I don't know. The Chargers just frustrate me so much because when you see it, when you see how they match up against teams, even not just on paper, but while they're playing, Ray, it's a disappointment. And I mean, it goes to Eric's question too. Like, how is Brandon Staley still employed? And I know I answered it last week by saying, well, he fired who he had to fire and bring in different people, but I just think he's done after this year.
So I got two very disappointing things from this weekend from the NFL. The first one is we were just on here 2 weeks ago, man, saying that based on what he's doing as a rookie, based on where he had that team, based on how good they looked, that we have to at least consider the possibility that CJ Stroud could be in the MVP conversation. Man, you can't go out and get stumped by the New York Jets. Sorry, Mama Cartonudo. You cannot go out and lose 30-6 and throw for 91 yards. He got hurt. Well, that didn't happen until, I mean, like, he just played awful, man. The team played awful. Like, Houston had a chance to, I mean, with Trevor Lawrence not being healthy, the rest of the division is bad, right? Like, you're the last healthy starting quarterback. And before he got hurt, he just played awful. Houston had a chance to kind of really take a stand in that division, and they got dog walked by the New York Jets. And it happens. It's no different than my team losing to Green Bay and Chicago, and Mike, your team losing to Arizona earlier this year, and what we saw happen to the Eagles the last 2 weeks. It just happens sometimes. But that was pitiful. And by far, the most pitiful thing I saw in sports this weekend, these are adults, man. These are grown men. These are professional players, and they played an entire football game, and this was the final score. Unbelievable that people paid money to watch this game. People was in the stands watching this game. Somebody who paid their cable bill turned on their TV and was watching this game. Shout out to my guy, Joey Deneen. He's one of my bowling teammates. He's a Raiders fan. His girl is a Minnesota fan. It's something else they could have done with that 60 minutes of their time. It's something else they could have done besides watch that sorry excuse for a football game to watch two teams go out, and between the two of them, they kick one sorry-ass field goal. They should be ashamed of themselves. All the coaches need to be fired. All the players need to be reassigned. Like 3-0, man. 3-0.
And Ray, do you know it was the first time since 1988 that two games in the NFL went to halftime scoreless? The Jets-Houston game and that game. And if they would have went to overtime at 0-0, it would have been
the first time since 1947.
Yeah.
it is worth me mentioning, man, and I'm glad he's staying tuned the whole show, Eric. And I'm telling you, man, from my many Facebook debates with this guy, it's been numerous times that he's had me staring at my phone going, just speak it on my, like, I'm telling you, man. And when I tell you this, the guy, he don't let up. He is not letting up. I say that 3-0 game was the most pitiful thing I saw. My man say, no, it wasn't. He said the most pitiful thing he saw was Philly getting mud stomped because he wanted to see a good game. Like, he is not letting up in these comments. We move on to a new topic. And he like, nope, we ain't letting it ride. So yeah, he say, wasn't Kellen Moore supposed to have the Chargers offense looking got yet? That's another thing, man.
Yes,
that nobody's really talking about. Kellen Moore was supposed to be this offensive genius, the likes of McVay, the likes of Bieniemy, right? Like Kellen Moore was talked about as this guy who was supposed to be lights out offensively. He goes to the Chargers. You got all these weapons. You have Justin Herbert. You have Williams. You have Keenan Allen. You have Austin Eckler. And it's funny. You talked about LaDainian Thompson. They utilized Melvin Gordon the same way when he was healthy.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, yes, Kellen Moore's been disappointing.
Well, that's why Mike wouldn't say his name when he played when he was coaching in Dallas. Mike refused to say his name.
But listen, we got about 5 minutes left, and I want, we know typically during the NFL season we keep it just about all NFL. But before we get out of here, because we spent most of the show talking Dallas and Philly, and one more time just for the fans and the cheap seats. I really want to get y'all thoughts, man. And I'm gonna come to you first, Eric. Now that it's over, right? Because I believe a vast majority of us didn't have an understanding of it, right? When it first came out and it was like, hey, they got the new in-season tournament. I was like, what's this all about? But now that it's over, right? Just give me your overall thoughts, man, on the in-season tournament. Like it, didn't like it? Was it a success? Was it worth it? Something should stay around? What you think?
It's so crazy because in the beginning, as someone who has covered, NBA games and been in those locker rooms and been in those pre and post game press conferences, I just saw it as an attraction, something to put people's mind on basketball while the NFL season is going on. But now that it's all said and done, honestly, I'm glad they did it. I just hope that it really garners the attention of the fans, both traditional and non-traditional, to where it's kept. I would like to see it, though, pushed back just a little bit more and have it end on Christmas. You know what I mean? Because I think that then really gives you not really the first half, but the first third of the season leading up to Christmas and having those games. Because, I mean, if you see the slate of games, both NFL and NBA on Christmas, it's like, whoa, we got some, and everybody watches. So I think if the in-season tournament was to end there, I think it might just add a little volume, add a little depth to it. I am happy, though. Did it disappoint me? Not really. I mean, listen, Orlando came away with that thing looking better than I've seen them in the last 3-4 years. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe this was what they needed. And that's just a shameless plug because of me covering that team. But then again, I look at my team, the Sixers, which shout out to them, beating up on the Wizards tonight, 146-101. But again, I think all in all, the product was successful.
Talk to me, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I was a big fan when we started talking about it in the beginning of the season, and I know, or even last year when they were talking about, there's going to be in-season tournament. And like I said, from growing up, obviously being, as you know, Ray, a huge soccer fan. I mean, in Europe, they have like 2 or 3 cups when you're still playing in your season. And I know you know that. So it's like, I gave a little bit of crap to you guys because I'm like, oh, well, it's not really an original idea. They stole it from there. But if they can make it work, and like you said, like we've all said, people get more eyes on the NBA before Christmas because yes, there are people like us that I do watch it from the beginning of the season because I want to see obviously certain games. Am I watching, more football? Obviously, but yes, there are games that I'm watching. And I think the in-season tournament did that. And if, look, I mean, as much as I've always ripped on LeBron, I know it's, to be the first team, players to get like your name on that trophy. I'm like, good for them. They took it seriously. There are a few teams that didn't. The excuse of Chicago, oh, we don't get it. Like they blew it off. And I mean, that's obviously by the way they played. I'm not going to say personally, but I mean, I think their first 2 games, they got voted by like 25 and like 29, something ridiculous like that possibly. It wasn't, they didn't play well at all. And they didn't look like they had any interest, but I do think it drummed up interest. And I know, basketball wise, people are like, oh, who's this Halliburton kid in Indiana? Who that didn't know. For the casual fan, yes, the Lakers were there. So a lot more casual fans, whether they love or hate the Lakers, are going to watch. Right. But, that's funny. You get them, Mo. So, no, but I do think it was good. I think that I'm with Eric, and I said that in the beginning too, though. And I made that point in the beginning too. I think the date should be just pushed back a little bit. So to the point, you kind of have that end on Christmas, but you're building more. So even if you take 3 weeks to like push it at the start of it back, 2 weeks, right? You get it like the end on Christmas, which you could still have, your double and triple header. It'll just be, your quintuplet header, whatever they have, but you could just end it with the championship game. To me, that is how people, even if you started 2 weeks later, gonna be, oh, hey, you know what? Hey, if there's a look, if they tried not to, I know they did it Tuesdays, Fridays, Ray, and that's smart from a marketing point, because what are they not trying to do? Go up against Thursday night football.
Well, first off, I don't think going up against Thursday night football should scare anybody.
Well, right.
Those games are never good.
Right. I mean, very few times those games live up to people. They are terrible.
I mean, America's game of the week this week looked like Thursday night football is what it looked like. And you just watch a team get dog walked.
Right. But like, no, I mean, I just think if you did that and you could still have your like, quintuplet header and, and it caps off with the championship game, that'd be phenomenal on Christmas. You would drive more eyes to it. And look, I love the court. I love what they did with the courts. People thought it was corny. I thought it was pretty cool. But the games outside of Chicago and like Eric said, I mean, even like Orlando, but most teams, the way Jason Tatum had that same killer attitude that you guys, we've been talking about, like that LeBron had, like, yeah, I want to win this. Like, it's the first one. Like, yes, there's going to be others, and it's not going to be gone next year. So there'll be others, but you're the first one. And I mean, that's huge. So the fact that like they took it seriously and then the NBA was cracking down on, obviously load management. And this went a long way, I think, with the average fan. I think this went a long way to be like, oh, I'm really excited for next year's tournament.
So a couple of things. One, shout out to Mike. I see you in the comments. Hey, Mike, I would just have to tell you, man, I doubt you're going to go back and watch this whole hour show, but we talked Phillies, Cowboys. We talked Philly, Dallas for 40 minutes of the hour. When I tell you Eric Dunn got the business, man, he got it. He got it today. Shout out, man. Another one of my guys I bowl with, my brother, Dustin Kareska. He's a Cowboys fan. Y'all see the Texas logo. Cry Eagles cry. LOL, I think the last 2 weeks really exposed Philly, and I think fans should realize the Philly record this year.
Can I say one thing?
I will tell you this, real Eric. You know why a lot of people too? When you look on Facebook that the thumbnail is that picture you put up at the beginning.
I know.
So that's what people seeing.
No. This has nothing to do with Dallas or Philly. And of course, listen, it's an attention grabber. So mission accomplished. But I just want to say something to all your bowling buddies out there.
Oh,
okay. Let me just say this real quick. Now, y'all don't know me from the Man in the Moon. Y'all only see me on here with Ray every Monday night, 10 p.m. The Sports Arena, my page, his page, Mike's Twitter page, whatever it is. But I need y'all to understand something. See, everybody has a first love with regard to sports, okay? And mine just happens to be bowling. So to all your bowling buddies, I guess I'm going to have to make a trip up to Jacksonville, North Carolina, and show y'all what I'm about with a ball in my hand. Because, see, y'all can talk all you want about my Philadelphia Eagles. And you know what? I got to sit here and take it. I do. And I'm going to take it. But when y'all want some smoke, let me know. Because I ain't never scared of a bowling match. You ain't even got to ask me. I'll show up just because. I'll pay my own gas money, get my own hotel, sleep in my car. It don't matter. But y'all wanna roll one time. Let a brother know. That's all I'm gonna say.
I would just like to say this man team got beat so bad he want to bowl now. He don't even want to talk about football. He said, "Let's go bowling." So in season tournament, man, I will say this, and there's a lot of comments I want to kind of address, and I'll try and be quick. Look, look.
Yes.
Yo,
Loso. Yep.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, my guy Dustin's nice, man. Me and Dustin both together for
Ray,
4 or 5
listen,
years,
I
3
understand.
nights a week. Hey man, listen, I'm just telling you what you're getting yourself into. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
but
Like,
Ray, you don't think I already know that, knowing what I've seen you do based on the conversations that you and I have had? You don't think I already know what I'm walking into?
hey man, hey, we get it done, right?
I'm gonna tell you like the street prophets. I want all the smoke.
I'm there.
I hear you.
I'm there.
Listen, man. A couple of things, man. I like both these comments by Loso. He says if the in-season tournament meant something as far as stands or playoff implications, it would be very interesting. And he also said it was pointless. They should have poured that energy into the All-Star game. Now, I said earlier, I think a lot of us didn't understand it to start off, though. It was kind of like having conversations about it were weird because nobody knew what was going on, why they were doing it, and what's going on. When he talked about the All-Star game, I will say this much. Even though after it taking place, I'm a fan of what they did, right? I think anytime you can get competitive basketball, right, to the point where players have something a little extra to play for, some of those games did have a playoff type atmosphere. We're not talking about this counts as LeBron James' 5th ring. That's kind of the running joke. We're not talking about it. I think the little celebration was maybe a tad overboard, right? But players did want to win this thing. They wanted to win, right? Like they really wanted to win. And it's interesting that Loso brought up the All-Star game, right? Because you guys are talking about pushing it to Christmas. I think it would have been dope to go a mid-season tournament. Let it replace All-Star weekend altogether, right? You do those group plays, and then how they went to Vegas for them last few games, just like the Pro Bowl. You can get named the All-Star, but forget the game. We're going to do all that skill stuff. We're going to do the dunk contest. We're going to do three-point contest. But on Sunday,
championship game.
On Sunday, that's the championship game for the in-season tournament, right? Because we as fans haven't complained about regular season basketball. Fans have complained about All-Star weekend, right? And listen, I didn't think of this until he put this comment up. Like, nobody's complained about regular season basketball, right? Everybody's complained about the All-Star game. So I think it would have been smarter to pour this into All-Star game. The group play was fine because it didn't affect regular season, right? They mixed the group play in with your regular games.
Yeah, it counts as a regular season game.
And then you go out to Vegas or wherever you go, wherever All-Star weekend is going to be at, right? If you look up and you playing and it's in your home city, good for you, right? Because everybody know where it's going to be before the season start. And then you kind of culminate it some kind of way. I think that would have been dope. But I will say, man, I think this, and I said this before, it's not even a Laker thing. It's more of a LeBron thing. I think fans are reacting to the in-season tournament on opposite ends of the spectrum way too much. Like LeBron fans talking like it's, they're overrating it a bit. And I think people who don't care for LeBron are underrating it a bit. Like it doesn't mean anything. It means something. You could see the players cared, right? They cared. Everybody wanted to win and his team won. Is it his 5th ring? No. Should they have been popping bottles? No. Does the MVP really going to add to his legacy? Not really, right? But the players clearly wanted to win. They went out and competed and his team won, right? It means something in the spirit of competition. They won. I liked it for that, man. I liked it that in the middle of this, for no reason, it had us glued to the TV, right? And what I really think it did, and you already touched on it, Mike, was give some fans the opportunity to see some of the smaller market guys that they may not have seen, right? I did a post on Facebook before the season. I think you had your elite level guys, right? Your Luka, your Kyrie, your Steph Curry, right? And then you had your second tier guys, right? I think like guys like De'Aaron Fox, Jamal Murray. I had Halliburton in there, LaMelo Ball, and I had 6 guys. Jalen Brunson was one of them, and people was ranking Tyrese Halliburton 6th. And I was like, bro, y'all don't really understand. And now it's people saying that dude playing like the best point guard in the NBA. And I think the in-season tournament drew a little more eyes to him. You hear about the numbers. You go, hold on, man, who's this kid? And now you start watching, and he going out every night doing something special, man. So I liked it for that reason that you got the opportunity to see some players that you may not really paid attention to before, right? Anything to bring eyes to the game is good. I hope they keep it. I could use a few tweaks, right? Again,
but Ray,
championship in November is weird.
let me say this to you with the All-Star weekend. As I do like that idea, but I think it kind of screws the two teams that get there, because if you think about it, like a lot of those guys that aren't going to the All-Star game or that quote unquote have an injury that they show up, it's still 6 days off. So that would be if I'm a player, that's my only pushback, but I do think it's a lot better than the All-Star game. I'm 100,000,000% with you guys on that one. But let me ask you for the groups, like going forward, if you wanted to spice it up, instead of just doing like East-West, would you be cool with mixing up the brackets?
No.
Like,
I mean, it is what it is, man. I didn't mind. I mean, it's an inaugural year, right? I didn't mind the East-West, and they did it based on where you finished in the season.
Right.
So you give guys like the lower half of the West, right? The lower third of the West, you put a group together. Like next year, you're probably looking at guys like San Antonio, Utah, Portland, all going to be in a bracket. So somebody got to come out of that group. So you give a lower tier team a chance, as opposed to putting, you got Denver in this group, Milwaukee in this group, the Lakers in this group, Philly in this group. You're like, okay, you know who's going to win those groups, right? Like, I like it that you put all the best teams against each other. You put the mid-level teams against each other. It had a lot that I like. And that's why you wind up with a championship game with the Lakers and the Pacers, right?
Yep.
So I don't really care about how they group them together besides talent level,
right.
Which was good, man. Again, I liked it for the idea that they played for something. They played harder in this in-season tournament than we do see people play in the All-Star game.
Yeah, because
right?
Eric gives me crap about bringing it to the Suns, but that game against what was it, Memphis, they had a win by at least 17, and they won by, I think, like 22.
By the way, let me say this. I love that aspect of it. I love it. I think Golden State was playing Sacramento, and it was like, if Golden State won, they would have had the same record, and then when it came down to point differential. So it was like Golden State could win the game and still lose the bracket to Sacramento if they didn't win by at least 11. Like, they had a counter in the top right-hand corner. Like, if they won by 7, it wasn't going to be good enough. Yeah. So you getting this thing where it's like, now not only are you playing to win the game, you're playing to win the game and win by 11. So when you're up 7, you're really down 4 as far as the tournament. But you got to be careful with going out there trying to gun for the scores, because this counts towards your regular season record. So it was a lot going into it, man. It was a different twist. It was a different dynamic. Again, I think as fans and viewers and sports analysts, it gives you a different kind of perspective in watching it, where now when a team running up the score, you ain't mad at them.
Yep.
Right? So it was cool, man. It was cool. I like it. Again, man, LeBron James fans, y'all got to chill. It don't mean a whole lot, but LeBron James haters got to chill too. Let's not act like, because if the Lakers would have lost, LeBron James had to be saying, they go 4-7 in championship games. That's what they'd be saying. They'd say 4-7 in championship games. Do you think they would ever put playoff ties into it? I hope so, man. Baseball tried that for a while. Remember
the All-Star game, but for home field. But they also canned it because people were pissed off because the team that won either league had
check this out, though. Hold on, check this out. What if, right? Just what if, y'all will stay with me on this. What if, no matter what your record was, the in-season tournament champion had an automatic bid to the playoff? Be crazy.
So, like, right? if they finish 8th, they'd automatically put them, or 7th, they'd automatically put them 6th,
or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, that would be crazy. It would be a whole different wrinkle, right? They doing it like they kept this stupid, which I think is stupid. The play-in is stupid, right?
This is better than the play-in. This is better than the play-in.
The play-in made sense because of COVID. You got 82 games to get in. You already letting half the teams in. Ain't but 15 teams. You're letting 8 of them in. We're going to give a spot to 2 more, so now 2/3 of the teams got a chance. That's ridiculous, right?
100%.
But play-in tournament is like you lock yourself in or whatever, or if, I don't know, the tiebreakers at the end of the year. You 2 teams got the same record. What was your record in the in-season tournament, right? Something like that. Like, I could rock with all of that.
I don't disagree with that, but what I feel like is if you give someone an automatic bid and we're not even a third of the way through the season, it's like, okay, well, then I think load management then really comes into play, because then it's like, oh, well, we already got an automatic bid, so we ain't got to play as hard or have to put forth that effort, because by winning this tournament, we got a spot in the playoffs, and I look at it like, congratulations, You won the in-season tournament that they did. But man, what do I always say? Be consistent, man. Or as you would say, Ray, keep that same energy. Ride that all the way into the post.
But here's a way to mesh both of what you're saying, Eric, because I like that from Ray. But just be if you win it and say you were, as long as you're in the 10, you're the sixth seed, because that's the team. Like you can't go any higher than 6 if you're not in that. So if they still want to have the play-in, fine. But the team that wins the in-season tournament, again, they can't be any lower than 6. They could win their division. They could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. But if they fall into that play-in, they're a 6th seed. So it meshes both of yours together, because I see what you're saying with the load management. The NBA is already going to find teams left and right if they do it. They're not going to mess around with that because they have to send a message. And nobody's done it yet. So, so far, like you said, we're not even a third of the way in, but we'll see how it is after Christmas and stuff. But I'm with Ray on that. I like that idea, but I like what you said too, Eric, but you wouldn't have to play in the play-in, because Ray, the problem with that is, and I'm with you, because I think it made sense for COVID. It made sense in the bubble. It got more eyes, more games, and they were good games. They weren't crap. But I don't think you need it. But since they're gonna keep it, because once the owners start making more money, guess what? We know it ain't going backwards. What's this? Oh. Five times today.
Dallas Cowboys. We are the Cowboys. Super coach, super team. Lean hard, hungry, ugly, and
I heard that like 10 times today.
It was only right, man. It was only right that we show the Dallas Cowboys some love for what they did. And as we sign out of here, y'all, for those of y'all that's been kicking it with us the whole time, we appreciate y'all again for 2 weeks in a row. That is a battered and bruised and broken man to my left. Been a rough go, man.
Everybody goes through it. It's not how you start, how you finish.
Agreed.
You say your team better, yeah, that's cap. When you number.
You know what, man? Rocky Balboa is rolling over in his grave right now after what y'all done did, man. Rocky Balboa is rolling over in his grave. Apollo Creed, because he was in Philly, is rolling over in his grave. Moses Malone, Dr. J, all rolling over in their grave. Again, Brian Dawkins, Donovan McNabb are rolling over in their grave. LaShawn McCoy, Michael Vick, rolling over in their grave with how y'all making Philly look. Man, it's just bad. Howie, he is rolling over in his grave. Santa Claus, they got booed, is rolling over in his grave right now with how y'all out there representing this team, man. A lot of people rolling over in their grave at the Philadelphia Eagles right now, man. It's all fun. It's
great when the Cowboys can put the extra dirt on it too. Just put that extra dirt. Put that star on top, Ray. Put that star on top.
Hey, man, listen. I am going to grant one wish, because this is what we do, man, here on the Sports Arena, man. I like it when y'all is in there in the comments talking to us and we talking back to y'all, man. It's a good day. So y'all done hung out with us. Y'all done talk stuff to us. So I am going to grant a wish. We are going to leave tonight showing the Philadelphia Eagles daddy. That's what we're going to show. We're going to show the Philadelphia Eagles daddy. Ladies and gentlemen, there he is. That is the Philadelphia Eagles daddy. They went on Maury. The test came back. Dakota Prescott, when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, you are the father. That is what I heard from Maury. Dakota Prescott, ladies and gentlemen, he is the father. He's the father. Who's the kids? I don't know. But what I do know is, sir, you are the father. DNA test came back, 99.9% chance that Dakota Prescott is the biological father of the Dallas Cowboys, no, of the Philadelphia Eagles. That we know. That we know. Oh, my God. Oh my God. Hey, man, we appreciate y'all hanging out, man. For my guy, Mike Caratanudo, he wouldn't get Eric the business, so I had to. Eric, keep your head up, bro. We live to fight another day. Fly, Eagles, fly. Boy, them birds' wings have broke the last 2 weeks. And your boy, Ray Lynn, the sports reporter without pay again, man. Y'all see the merch. We out here. We going to catch y'all next week.